everyone, welcome back to TV Guys. Could we be any better of a TV episode? I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
And we're going to talk about our favorite people in the whole wide world. Guess what? We have patterned our entire personalities off of these people. These sarcastic commenters from your favorite TV shows, which every show has them. I mean, really, like, honestly, you look at every show. They've got to all have them, right?
Yes, although to say that we're these people, we're the people that these people make fun of.
Maybe. You know, you don't have to go so personal like that. Listen, we're really cool until we highlight the things that make us not cool, which is like everything. So,
like doing a TV podcast?
You know, that's just what white people do in their 30s. They start a podcast about TV.
It's true, but no, we were in our 30s. Okay, were we in our 30s when we started this? Yeah, it's not that old.
I'm 37. I think we've only been doing it for like 5 years.
True.
But we are going to talk about a good amount of these sarcastic guys. We'll go over a little bit. Some of them will get a lot of screen time here as we're talking. Some of them we'll just kind of mention in passing. But what I did for mine, because I've got about 10 of these guys that I wanted to bring up as mentions, and I figure you've got others, and maybe we'll have some overlap. But I actually have compiled some quotes too. Because, it's one thing for us to come into one of these episodes and be like, hey, remember this guy? Yeah, that was awesome. But, like, I want to, highlight some of their great moments, some of my favorite quotes. So with each of my picks, I'm going to have a quote or two prepared. I didn't tell you I was doing this, so you don't.
Nope.
You're going to look like the worst host.
Well, some of these I can pull out quotes from memory.
Yeah. Some of them, like, I could, but I'm like, there's some. I'm like, oh, this guy is so funny, but I can't remember their so like to get started off, sometimes there's the sarcastic commenter. Oh, I didn't even include one that I'm writing this one here real quick before we go. All right, so sometimes there's the sarcastic commenter that's all that they are, and that's their entire personality, and there's no depth to them. And so you've got a character like the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Now, there's a lot of sarcasm in The Simpsons because that's just Matt Groening's sense of humor. But comic book guy is like the one that if you're saying who's the sarcastic person of The Simpsons, it's him. He's like every line. That's who he builds his character on, because he's kind of a stand-in for the nerdy viewers, right?
Yeah.
So like when Bart wants to buy this Bone Storm game, he goes in, and the comic book guy because Bart doesn't have money. He's only got a buck. So he offers him a buck for it. And just allow me to summarize the proposed transaction. You wish to purchase Bone Storm for 99 cents. Net profit to me, negative $59. Oh, please take my $59. I don't want it. It's yours.
Yeah.
And then after the pause, seeing as you're unfamiliar with sarcasm, I'll close the register at this point. That's the quote I got.
That is a perfect example. So, most of mine fit in the category of they're part of the main ensemble cast, but they're not the lead. And usually these characters will not regularly be part of like the A plot. They will occasionally, but for the most part, they're the ones who are commenting, or sometimes they're like giving advice, sometimes obviously sarcastically, to our like A and B main characters.
Sure, and that's a really good distinction to have, because I've got two guys on my list that they are for sure the lead. I mean, actually, there's two people on the list. The show itself is named after this person. And so I do get that it's not quite what we're going for, but I have to include these because these are some characters that I just absolutely love. Actually, it's 2.5, and I'll tell you why it's half later. But tell me one that you've got in your list.
There's so many ones that could be like, this is the quintessential example. This is one that I think is the perfect example of what I'm thinking of, which is Jeffrey Butler from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay. I thought you were going to go a different direction with perfect example, because I've got one that's like, this is the quintessential one.
Oh, there's multiple people that are perfect examples. There's not one perfect example, but
true.
So I know, Matt, I know you're not a big Fresh Prince guy, but to set the scene, it's the Banks family and Will, and Jeffrey just lives and works there. And a couple examples, like I forget what he's actually talking about, but Uncle Phil says, "Jeffrey, fetch my tools." You mean your knife and fork? Or one point,
Got it.
Will is joking around with Uncle Phil again, with different wigs, and he puts on this little tiny little Jerry curl wig that looks like what's it called, Little Richard. And Jeffrey walks by, no inflection, just straight face, goes a wop babaloo bop balop bam boom, and walks away. Which is what Jeffrey does. He'll walk in, make fun of somebody, and walk out.
And that's a great role. Like the help, so to speak,
Yeah.
is a great role for our sarcastic commenter.
Yeah, it gives them a reason to be there without being part of the main story. Like they do occasionally give him depth and storylines, but for the most part, that's what he does. He is comic relief, like in a show full of comic reliefs, basically.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So I wish I would have seen more Fresh Prince. I know that there's a chance to, and it's on shows, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Because so many people talk about how great it was. I'm like, yeah, there's just this giant block of pop culture I'm missing from the 90s. It's fine. I don't need that.
Well, that's why I'm currently watching through Seinfeld. I know we talked about Seinfeld a few episodes ago, but I never went through. So I'm still slowly working through it so that I can say, oh, I've seen one of the biggest shows of the 90s.
Yeah. With talking about Seinfeld, I don't know if there's one that's just the sarcastic commenter. Is it Jerry? Really. If there is one, is it Jerry?
Kind of, but that would be comedian Jerry, just like the interstitials, not Jerry the character.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone really fits here from Seinfeld, but that's definitely a sarcastic show.
Oh, for sure, and they all have their moments, but that's kind of like stand-up comedy is basically just let's hear this person with no other characters for an hour and a half. So it's kind of unfair to say that the stand-up comedian is the sarcastic commenter, because it is unfair. That's
why I don't have anyone from Seinfeld on my list.
Yeah.
But I do have someone from another 90s block of TV that I figure is probably also on your list. But let's just get the obvious one out of the way, and that's Chandler Bing.
Yeah.
How can you not have Chandler when you talk about a sarcastic commenter? I don't know if he's the best at it, but he is up there.
He is. And I mean, do you have the quote? There's so many Chandler quotes you could put, but the one is, I'm not great at the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment? Yeah. Which is literally word for word what we're talking about.
That 100%, and that completely sums up his character. And just a great, we're in a state where I feel like meta humor is overdone. But back then, like, this was a really good meta self-awareness of his character. And it was late enough in the seasons where it's like that joke really lands. You do that in the second and third season, it's still funny. But this was late, like in ninth season? Because this was to Mike, right?
No, I thought it was to Rachel in like the final episode when she's about to move to Paris. I could be wrong. But either way, it is late in the game for sure.
And so just like all the years we've known him for a while and be like, yeah, that's him, this sarcastic comment. And he's one of those characters that they did plenty with. Like, it's almost like they lucked into a good storyline for him between him and Monica. Because the writers themselves said that the audience reaction to their hookup is what dictated how they went forward with that relationship. And so they went from just like, oh, this would be funny if we did this, to this is a big thing, and the audience is really responding to it. So he got so much more agency than just being the comic relief, but he still was that sarcastic guy all through and through all 10 seasons.
Yeah. And another one I love is, I forget what actually happened, something like my sandwich, or it wasn't the sandwich moment, but Chandler just goes, well, what did the police say? What was that in response to?
It might. Now that you said sandwich, I put sandwich in my brain. That's all I can think of.
No, because the sandwich moment, well, that's another one where, Ross is drugged and he's like, yeah, I got fired because of my rage. And he's just like so totally zenned out. And Chandler goes, well, which I might say is out of control right now.
Hi, I'm Chandler. I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. But the only thing with Chandler is I knew Chandler was going to come up. Chandler is also very much a lead, one of the a co-lead of the show.
Yep.
But he's still, you can't not put Chandler on this list.
Yeah. One of my favorite deliveries from him that just is so great. It was one that I referenced last week in our trivia with this episode. When they get the cans of pop for Ross for Christmas from the gas station, and just like, we know how much you like a cola drink and a lemon lime.
Just that delivery, which I have to imagine. I want to believe that's a Matthew Perry choice to say it like that.
It's got it. Like he makes such good choices in his comedic talent.
Yeah. Although I will say this is the only show that I double dipped, because there's also another character in Friends who fits more in like the Jeffrey side character kind of role, which would be Gunther. Could also.
I was going to say, are you going to say Gunther?
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm thinking about when Joey asks, "Is that your Porsche?" Yeah, I make $5 an hour. I've saved up for 400 years.
Gunther's underappreciated. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe Gunther's probably accurately appreciated. He had just enough to keep things interesting, but he's a flat character on his own, and so he doesn't need a ton to do.
No, he couldn't have worked on his own, but they used him just right. And like he easily could. At first I had Gunther on there. I'm like, I didn't have Chandler because of the fact that he's more of a lead, but I'm like, you can't, people are going to be expecting to hear us talk about Chandler with this title, so we have to.
Did you hear, speaking of Friends, did you hear apparently there was like 8 lost episodes of the Joey spinoff?
Really?
That were found and are now going to be added to something? Like 8 never before episodes of this show that no one even watched.
I never even finished the original run of Joey, but that's cool.
We did, but I mean, it got canceled. I just remember it was like he finally hooked up with someone or something like that, and then it gets canceled.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you know being canceled? Do you know there was a storyline revolving around Chandler's sarcastic comments that ended up being cut and refilmed?
What?
So this is actually the whole storyline was filmed, and you can look, I think, on YouTube. I've seen it. When Chandler and Monica were coming back to their honeymoon, their whole plot was going to be that Chandler made a joke about a bomb at the airport, and they kept getting detained from security, and he kept making it worse. He would say things like, typically, like, I don't have a bomb, and if I did, I try to keep that pretty quiet. And thing is that was right around 9/11, and they're like, we're not going to air this. And so that's what they just, I forget what episode or what they did with Chandler and Monica instead, but basically they just erased it from existence and said this never happened. But they filmed it, and I've seen it.
I've seen it, guys. I saw it with my own eyes. I promise it was there.
Yeah, so I'm hammering that home because like I don't remember where you can see it, but yeah.
I'm going to stick with the 90s real quick and hit on a guy that I don't know if we've ever talked about this show, or if we have, it's been very brief in talking about this. Okay. But there is an actor who sarcastic comments are the only thing really that they can do. And they get booked for this, and they did it really well in the 90s, and then they just haven't really been doing it since that. But that actor is David Spade. And so in the show Just Shoot Me, his role as Dennis Finch as the sarcastic commentator is just absolutely perfect. So well suited for him. Like when you lean into that side of David Spade, like that when like Emperor Cusco in Emperor's New Groove, like he does so good at that, but there's not a lot more depth that he has. So
I've never seen that show, but all you have to say is David Spade and I'm locked in, because
exactly. And so he's similar in that Jeffrey role from what I can tell, where it's I don't remember him ever getting like a lot to do there, but he kind of is this personal assistant for the Jack Gallo, the main guy. And so he's, and this is like a nice what is it, like a Vogue type newspaper
Yeah.
company that he works for. And so, one of the characters in that is the photographer. And so the photographer is a little bit of a playboy. And, so he's bragging about like this picture he took. And Dennis is like, oh, yeah, you're a genius. You took a picture of one of the hottest women in the world and somehow made her look beautiful. What's your secret? Are you using some kind of film? Or another time when Elliot is complaining to him, he's like, thanks to you, my life sucks. Well, I can't take all the credit. You had a pretty good head start.
That's good.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that show. Like, so many good characters in that. Like George Segal as Jack the boss.
Oh,
George Segal is just phenomenal. He's so funny. And so
is that the show that had Phil Hartman too? That was News Radio. That was News Radio.
Yeah. I can't remember what the actress's name was, but there's a woman who plays Nina in that. Here, let me look it up. Wendy Malick.
Oh yeah,
she's really good in the stuff that she pops up in, but she was just fantastic as a slightly vapid, dumb. I don't remember what role she had in the company, but she had some really funny, like, I'm the stupid character moments in it.
She pops up in a lot of stuff. She's in Young Sheldon. She's in The Ranch. She's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I might stick in the 90s with one that only kind of half counts because it's the show within a show where this character is a sarcastic commenter, which is Al Borland, specifically in Tool Time on Home Improvement.
Yes.
The rest of the time, not really. He's kind of like the nerdy best friend, kind of jokey guy, but within there, I mean, his catchphrase is, I don't think so, Tim. And it basically just making fun of Tim self-destructing and causing destruction.
But what makes his sarcastic commenting so unique is that these other sarcastic commenters are really funny and they can be kind of goofy and whatever, but he is just straight-laced. He's deadpan sarcasm. And that's a very different type of sarcasm to pull it off. And Richard Karn does it really well. And also credit to Tim Allen, because if Tim Allen wasn't as ridiculous and as much of a caricature as he is on that show, it wouldn't work. But because of the dynamic between the two, Richard Karn is able to really play a steady baseline of emotion, and it makes his comments that much better.
Oh, absolutely. And he also makes guest appearances in pretty much every show that Tim Allen's done since.
Yeah. It is funny. Like, he doesn't get a lot to do outside of the Tool Time show, but you're right. When he pops up outside of that show, he's just like this bubbly, fun-loving, I'm so nice and great and everyone loves me guy. And then he's on the show and he's like, down to business.
Yeah. Well, I remember the moment the oldest son, Brad, like takes off his jacket and he's wearing this super ugly shirt, but like he's thinking, yeah, this is cool and cutting edge, and I'm like, this is like a cool style. And then Al comes over and wearing the exact same shirt. He's like, look, we're wearing the same shirt. And you can see Brad like, oh, this is a dumb shirt.
Yep. Have you ever done that, Brian? You ever dressed in the same way as someone who's really cool? Oh, wait. No, hang on. It's got to be the other way. Have you ever dressed in the same way as someone and then they were like mortified that they dressed like you?
Not that I can think of, but I'm not ruling it out that it's ever happened.
You're welcome that I went that direction instead of assuming in any way that you could possibly be the cool one.
Yeah. Well, there was one time I was dressing the exact same way as these four other guys. Then I realized, oh, wait a minute. We're all groomsmen in a wedding. So that makes sense.
Oh, my gosh. You're welcome. I gave you the best setup.
You did.
So I've got, and I'll probably come back to like some more comedies, but I want to take a moment and I'm going to highlight just a few in my succession of, these are characters that they're sarcastic commenters, but they're in serious shows.
Okay.
So, for instance, here's a show that I'm 98% sure that you haven't watched. Okay. I just actually said the word Succession, but that show with Kieran Culkin as Roman Roy, so if you've seen Kieran Culkin really in anything, he's another one of those guys that he just has this sarcastic, but very charismatic energy about him. However, Roman is like a very clearly broken character. And like, so he's definitely been abused by his dad. Like, his dad is very unloving, very unfeeling. And so he just like his dad, you see him verbally abuse him every now and then, like he'll hit him or something like that. But his dad is an awful, awful bully. But Roman is just trying to get any sort of appreciation and love from his dad, but yet he still has this goofy personality, and so his sarcasm is all it's all like defense mechanism to how his dad is. And so like his dad, he says something like really horrible, like where he tells his son like as a like F off sort of thing. He's just like, oh,
Yeah.
suck my whatever.
Yeah.
And his Kieran's like, said the father to his son as sexual misconduct allegations are floating around. Like he in order to make any sort of sense of his life, he only has his sarcasm. And his sarcasm is very irreverent and very off-putting, but I mean the whole family is.
From that example, you would imagine it would have to be.
Yeah. Like his brother, he has been on and again, off again on like I think it was coke addiction, some sort of like substance abuse. Mm-hmm. And so then his brother's going to be like taking the lead on something in a very public facing sort of business thing. And so Roman says, well, no one here has any glaring substance abuse issues that almost brought down the company, right? Just lampshading it, but like bringing up the things that are uncomfortable. He's always the one that will cut through the subtext. And so he uses sarcasm to do that, but he still is very hurt and damaged and just trying to figure out his life,
So is it almost like fourth wall breaking, where he doesn't break the fourth wall, but he kind of like conveys the emotion that the audience is probably feeling at the moment?
Sometimes, but he also, like, he himself will say some things that are like, wow, that's terrible. Like, he is in no way the good guy.
Yeah.
But you can, like, all the dad and the four kids that he has, they are all so messed up. And then like it just keeps getting traced back. It's like you can see then like, oh, his ex-wife, the dad's ex-wife was terrible. And so she's not like the good guy either. And his new wife ends up being not great. And then this guy's brother, the dad's brother is bad. And his dad was abusive, like all this sort of stuff. And it's just like damaging people. And yet they're in power and they're in money. So like, they also are escaping consequences that us normies would have as well. So it's an interesting show, but it definitely is a hard look at what money and power can do to people, especially those who are already hurting and broken.
Mm-hmm. So is that Succession?
Yep.
It's on the list of shows I've heard of are good, but I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's prestige TV. It was one that I always confused because it starts with an S. I didn't know anything about it, but like I would always confuse that and Severance. I'm like, which one is which? But I didn't know anything about either show when I knew that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna stick with. I have one last '90s sitcom character.
Okay.
And, I don't think you've seen the show, but how about Salem the Cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
I saw the Disney episode when we talked about them going to Disney, and that's my only experience with Salem the Cat.
And his literal thing, he's just the talking cat that lives in the house. So his backstory is that he was a human warlock who tried to take over the world, and his punishment is he has to spend 100 years as a cat, and that's why he can talk, because he was a dictator. It's basically like living with Hitler in your house as your pet because he tried to take over the world.
That you sold me on a brand new show.
Yeah. But his dry humor, I just looked up a quote, and it's Christmas time, and one of the aunts is wearing a wreath around her head, and it lights up, and he says, so it's true, taste does skip a generation. And that's the kind of thing that he does. Basically, sometimes he's used as expo dump, like to give exposition to Sabrina, because he's been around while he knows like the magic world and stuff. So sometimes he'll be like, well, yeah, with this spell it won't work unless you do blah, 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 blah. And then that sets off the episode. But other than that, he's just kind of like, he's just around. He's just talking.
So he's a fat cat. Because he's around. Moving on.
Yeah.
So
But there's really not much else to talk about Salem. That's about it.
yeah, cats don't deserve that much discussion. All right, let's
Yeah.
be real. These
Mm.
butthole addicts. All right. I don't even know what that means. So sticking with. So I'd said that there's a couple of characters that are the stars of their own show, and so here's your favorite show that you've never seen, that you acted like you've seen for so long, but you didn't. And again, it's a drama. You know what I'm talking about?
House.
House is correct. House is a very sarcastic personality. He is
Oh yeah.
definitely the funniest character on the show, even though it is a dramatic show. But he provides a lot of great levity. There's plenty of comedy in it, but there's in no world is the show House a comedy. But he's able to be very interesting with his sarcastic comments, and he, like Roman, he does use it a little bit as deflection, but he can also use it as a like lording it over people, and uses sarcasm to show how just much better he is and how much smarter he is, and so like someone's, because he's a prestigious doctor, then like, and he avoids his patients too. He hates people, he hates his patients, so he tries not to talk to them, but there's a lot of times he ends up having to anyway, because obviously. And so he comes in, he meets with one of his patients, and like, House, I've heard your name. A lot of people have. It's also a noun. Or like his team comes in like like a diagnosis, we've got rectal bleeding, and just, what, all of you?
That's good.
It is.
So,
that's a great line.
and from what I gather between clips and the episode I've seen, is his prestigious like position as a doctor and his superiority complex basically means that he'll say the quiet part out loud and he doesn't care about offending people, and he'll just rattle off stuff that people normally keep to themselves.
Like, he's very territorial about his whiteboard that he'll mark stuff on in the room. And so Foreman, the black doctor, comes up and he's going to write something, and he takes the marker out of his hand. He said, "Sorry, it's a whiteboard, not my rule." And then he says, "Now, can you hand me the black marker?"
That's funny. Yeah, he definitely strikes me as that character, that the brilliant character who's also just, you don't want to hang out with him.
Yeah, he's absolutely a jerk. Very much racist and sexist, and like thinks he's better and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But he fits this category and he's funny. So
yeah. Next one, I'll do another show that Matt, you haven't seen, but it's one of the quintessential 80s shows, which is Cheers, and I'm talking about Norm Peterson on Cheers, who literally, his role for 90% of the show is to just sit at that same stool at the end of the bar and make comments. Like, he'll come in like, "What are you up to, Mr. Peterson? My ideal weight if I was 11 feet tall." That's one of my favorites with him.
I like George Wendt too. I've always appreciated whenever he pops up. I'm like, yeah, this guy's great.
Yep, and he's a fixture. There's a scene in Cheers where a guy comes in, he's talking to Woody, and this guy's like, "Oh yeah, I owned this place 20 years ago," and he's talking about how different the place is. He's like, "Yeah, this bar used to be made of a different material. The floor used to be different." He's listing everything that's different because he hasn't been here in so long. He's like, "And those pictures on the wall are even different. Where? Over there behind Norm." Like, everything's different, and he still knows Norm. He doesn't, because he walked in, he never got introduced, never heard anything. Norm never looked up and talked to him. He's just, that's Norm. He's always been here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is not like a sad thing if you stop and think about it for more than 5 seconds.
No, I mean, and they play with the thing. Like, he's also the one, like, he's married but always hides from his wife and never wants to talk to her, and it's that boomer comedy of "I hate my wife."
Oh, sure. Take my wife, please.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, no, I mean, Norm is one of those. If we were doing this in the 80s, I think pre-Chandler, he's the prototype of that character type.
So what I've seen a lot from George Wendt's acting, and I haven't watched a lot of Cheers, but he seems similar to like that Richard Karn level where he's sarcastic, but it's not like Chandler where it's like can be really expressive and deliver his lines in a unique way. It just more is the writing, and it kind of is a little bit more deadpan. Is that accurate for Norm?
That's accurate, but Norm doesn't have like the the kind of being a dork that Al has. But the
Yeah.
deadpan for sure, he has that.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't think I have any of those. Actually, I do have one that's deadpan at some points. Like a lot of his sarcasm is more deadpan. I'll get to him after this one because I want to round out the last of my dramas.
Yeah,
And so I said there's 2.5 characters that are the
yeah,
lead of their own show. So the half character is Saul Goodman because he's in 2 different shows, and one of them he's
yeah.
the lead, but the other one he fits a lot more that sarcastic commenter of Breaking
Breaking
Bad
Bad. Oh, for
more
sure.
than
Yeah.
he still has his sarcasm side. Of course he does in Better Call Saul, but he
Mhm.
is definitely a lot more that way in Breaking Bad. Like,
Yeah.
as for your dead guy, occupational hazard, drug dealer getting shot. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's been known to happen.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. It's to the point where early on, he came in season 2 of Breaking Bad. And I think at that point, if you were to say, oh, yeah, there's going to be a spin-off series about Saul, you'd probably think that's not going to be good. Fast forward to it's one of the best shows on TV.
Yeah. Exactly. It's kind of like when Michael Keaton was going to play Batman for the first time, and comic book people were like, "Oh my gosh, Michael Keaton, the guy from Mr. Mom," and he does a great job. And like it's the how can you get these funny, goofy guys to take this subject matter seriously? And it's like, well, hey, he is in a very serious show. Breaking Bad is very serious, and Saul is never so much so that it pulls you out of it. He's a wonderful fit into this universe to provide the needed levity, but it's still believable.
Oh, absolutely. Like when he's trying to sell, I think it's Jesse, on buying the nail salon so he can funnel his money through. And he's like, what are they going to think? Will you suddenly have all this money? But I'm a drug dealer? No, worse, that you're a tax evader.
I like when he's talking about Mike. So anyone who's seen either Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, Jonathan Banks' character Mike, very serious, hard-nosed. Like, I don't know if he smiles in any episode of either show. He's just got that scowl on his face the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Saul, that's his name. Saul at one point says, "Look, don't let Mr. Ermintront's dancing eyes and bubbly bon vivant personality fool you. He's actually, believe it or not, somewhat taciturn." Just the best sarcastic way to describe Mike.
That had to have been Breaking Bad, right? I think.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you're right, and he understands the situation, but he like the perfect thing is at the end of Better Call Saul when he's on trial for the Breaking Bad events. He's like, I wasn't there when the meth was cooked. I wasn't there when it was sold, but I knew what was going on. Basically, he's like, he knows there's an entire world of drug dealers and shootings and drama and family stuff, and he doesn't care about any of that. He's like, how can I be a part of that enough to make money out of it?
Yeah, and he even suggests at certain points, like when there's a problem, he suggests like, well, can't you kill him off? I mean, he doesn't say that. I think his code was at one point later season, he says sending him down to Belize or something like that. So he fully is aware and knows completely what he's aiding and abetting. No bones about it.
Oh, absolutely. But that's a great pick that I wouldn't have thought of, because my mind obviously went to comedies because this character type fits a lot better in comedies.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see if you can guess. So I thought about The Office, and so many different characters could fit this at different times, but I landed on one character. Who do you think that is?
Daryl?
Ooh, that would have been good, but I said Stanley.
Just the black man.
Yeah, the black man.
But let's be honest, the ridiculousness of The Office is very white guy ridiculous.
True. You could even put Hank in there too.
None of the black people have any time for the crap that these white guys get up to.
But like Stanley's whole thing is that, I mean, he supposedly has good sales numbers, but you only ever see him like sleeping, eating pretzels, and doing crossword puzzles or yelling at Michael. That's most of what he does.
I still like, now that you're saying that and we're thinking about this, I do really feel like Daryl is the pick here, because Daryl has the comedy of it, but Stanley will have sarcasm, but there's also a I don't care element, whereas
Mhm.
Daryl will have fun with it. You know, like when he sends out the picture with Jan, it's like, did you happen to get that picture of Jan, and then did you forward it on to a bunch of people? Yeah. Well, then did you see my other email that says did you forward that to everyone else as well? I'm a very busy man down here, Mike.
That's true. And his messing with Michael, like Dink and Flicka and all his cool black guy phrases that he gives to Michael, that is very much a sarcastic commenter type of role there.
You look like LeBron James. It's LeJean Brames.
I think, especially when it comes to Michael, is so this I think this was cut out of the episode, but it's in a Superfan episode. Remember when Michael goes with, he has to take Daryl and Toby to try to get negotiated for a better salary, and they're driving up there, and Daryl is saying, "Oh yeah, after all this, I might just stay in the city and crash at my cousin's place," and Toby is like, "Well, how would we get back? You're driving us here." He's like, "Oh yeah, you can stay. He's got a big place." And then Michael's like, "Oh, what about me? It's not that big."
That was literally the line I was thinking of, honestly, like 20 seconds ago.
Yeah. So was that an extra? Was that, I think that might have been cut out of the original release of the episode.
No, I think that's in the regular one.
It is? Okay.
Is there a moment that you're thinking of that from Stanley that really stood out to showcase his sarcasm? Because he does have some, but he's less sarcastic. He's very no nonsense. And yeah. I don't feel like for a sarcastic commentary you can be as no nonsense as he is.
Well, I think the best example would be, I'll give you $1 billion Stanley nickels to never talk to me again. He's talking about the Shroot Bucks, and the exchange rate is the same as the exchange rate of leprechauns to unicorns.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah. And actually, I know it's technically your turn, but I'm going to hijack it because we talked about Superstore a while back, and I described the character as a cross between Stanley and Daryl, which is Garrett. And I think
he is on my list, and he was the one I almost went to before I went to Saul, because who is it? There's something about like he was the only one I have left that can have like a deadpan delivery. He definitely has emotions, and he'll definitely be like play up stuff, but his sarcastic delivery tends to be a lot more of that even keel.
Yeah. I mean, and the commenter part, his job is literally to make announcements for the store.
Cloud9 is not offering breast exams as part of our wellness fair. We've not hired someone to do that, and if we had, it would not be a teenage boy in a 21 Pilots t-shirt. Shop safe.
Or like when the memos get mixed up, and he announces Amy's salary to the whole store, which is a jerk move. That wasn't ignorance. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. Another one. Why go to a doctor when you can get medical advice from the same place you get dish soap?
Yeah. Try to think of another quote off the top of my head. But I mean, they all come to his announcements. It's like Garrett's announcements is part of the DNA of that show.
Yeah, and like the last one that I just said, like just to have those small little barbs in there. His sarcasm's great because to the stupid, aka oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the boss's name? What's his name? Glenn, aka Glenn. Like he's not going to see the sarcasm in it. What is it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that one line that Garrett has where he's clearly screwing with him. Where it's like I don't remember what the lead up is, but I think Glenn was talking about 9/11, and Glenn's just like, What's 9/11? And Glenn's like, you didn't hear?
Or this might not have been Garrett, but I think it was Garrett messing with Glenn, saying something about Satan. He is the last person I would ever work with.
That's right.
Like, Glenn never learns. He always takes everything so earnestly.
Yeah, so I can't believe I waited so long to watch Superstore. It's still not in that Office tier, but it's really good. It's in the Schitt's Creek tier, which is speaking of which, like if there's If there's someone that has sarcasm as like a spirit animal, it's David from Schitt's Creek. Do you ever watch Schitt's Creek?
I've seen pieces of it, but not the whole thing. But from what I've seen, that works.
Schitt's Creek is phenomenal for gifts. All right, because David has like and his sister, they both have like just some fantastic gifts and some quotes and facial expressions, and it's just like not only is David sarcastic, but he's so sassy with it too. Like, I'm not going to the botanical gardens by myself. What am I going to walk around and admire the cherry blossoms alone like some sort of pervert?
That's a good one. And it's like that mixed with like the gay sass.
Yes, that's another one. So I was just verbally assaulted by a very off-brand customer in the line outside.
I've seen clips. I'm trying to think of clips that have the quotes. Some of the quotes I think are just of him being dumb, which aren't the best examples, but still, yeah.
I've been burned so many times, I'm like the human equivalent of the inside of a roasted marshmallow.
So I wish I had more to contribute because I can picture all of these, but yeah, he is a good example though.
To quote I'm going to say something that's so old. To quote the young ones, the young people, like David is a vibe, 100%.
Oh yeah,
his whole thing, he is a vibe. And what's his name? Is it Dan Levy?
Yeah, Dan Levy.
He just embodies that so well, and is a fantastic addition to that show.
Yeah. I think there was one where his boyfriend or husband is playing baseball, and he's like, doesn't get sports to the point where even I know sports more than he does. And he's like, yeah. Are you're like talking about the wardrobe, and when is the finale going to be over? You mean the the championship?
It's hard to say who's the best part of that show, but those four mains are really good. The secondary characters are fine. Chris Elliott's really annoying. I really hate his character in it, and he almost ruins the show for me.
Okay.
But the rest of the secondary characters are fine. But those four together, all of them, they don't miss. All four are just fantastic.
And that's interesting because Chris Elliott is normally horrible in a way that is good. I mean, like you don't root for you rarely ever root for him, but he plays that like creepy jerk really well.
Like Scary Movie 2, he's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Take my strong hand.
I still think of him as the snowplow man from Snow Day and Nickelodeon.
I think my first thoughts of Chris Elliott is always Groundhog Day. Larry the cameraman,
okay.
I think.
Yes. And then obviously Lily's dad and How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
So I think my next pick could be called the OG Sarcastic Commenter. It is the oldest characters on my list by far. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Alice from Brady Bunch?
Oh, that would have been good. Actually, it might even be... No, Alice would have been before him. I'm talking Statler and Waldorf from The Muppet Show.
And that's a fantastic pick. I knew that there would need to be someone from the Muppets in here because the Muppets has such a deep catalog. It's like The Simpsons. There's someone on there that is going to fill every single stereotype.
Yep, and I'll have a secondary pick shortly, but the Statler and Waldorf, they fit in everything. There's a reason that pretty much since The Muppet Show, they're in every Muppet production, even if it's just popping in for a couple lines. You can get them in there because they're universal, making fun of the characters, making fun of Fozzie Bear. It can fit in all scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely. They are some of my favorite Muppets for sure. Like you know how much I love Bobo, but they're OG. That you can't not love those guys. And like everyone know, even if they don't know Statler and Waldorf, everyone knows the old guys from the Muppets. And I don't know a single person like, oh, those guys annoy me, whatever. Like everyone loves that kind of energy that they bring. Because maybe they're quote unquote mean spirited, but it's all in good fun. And the meanest that they get is in Muppet Christmas Carol. That's it.
True. And okay, so there's a good episode of The Muppet Show with Milton Berle. who I've heard that in real life, Milton Berle may have not been the best person,
He out
but
Chevy Chase. So
yeah, true. But in this one, he's doing his comedy routine, and he has a back and forth with Statler and Waldorf, and like they're besting him, like, you know what your problem is? You're too close to the stage. Back up. He's like, how's now? Back up a little farther, a little farther. How far should I go? You got a car?
that's a great line.
Yeah. And you talk about Muppet Christmas Carol, in a little part of that song, the Marley and Marley, when they're making fun of Scrooge, and Scrooge makes a joke, he's like, "Leave comedy to the bears, Ebenezer." Like, even saying, "You're worse than Fozzie."
It's good to be heckling again. It's good to be doing anything again.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, they're just so classic, and so they fit. Like Muppet Treasure Island. Like, what do you do? We'll put them on the front of the boat. Okay.
They're here somewhere. I don't know if I told you this, but did I tell you about our Halloween plans?
No.
So we, like, the kids trick-or-treated, and then they got back. We're like, all right, do we want to watch something tonight? And like my wife, she always loves to watch Casper, and that's her like Halloween movie.
Yeah.
And Jack was like, can we watch Muppets Haunted Mansion? And I'm like, we watched that once. I never would have thought I would see it again. But we watched Muppets Haunted Mansion, and it was a lot of fun, and they pop up in there. And so that was what we did for Halloween, and then we watched Casper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The interesting thing I found out, and if you look at it closely, I didn't realize this, because one of the newer Muppets that has become a core character is Uncle Deadly.
Mm-hmm.
The pattern for Uncle Deadly's body is just Statler. They use the exact same pattern. So, like, from the torso and proportions, Statler is the same as Uncle Deadly.
See,
obviously different.
Now I want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously different head and clothes and all that, but just.
I mean, those tentacles, yeah.
Yeah.
Or tentacly beard.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you say? Like, where is the Statler versus Deadly? What you're saying?
Oh, well, that was, I didn't see it. That was on a podcast that I heard, but someone's connected to the Henson or the where they make the puppets is the pattern, the foam pattern that they use to make the body of Statler. They use that same exact pattern for the body of Uncle Deadly.
The body. Yep. I see that. Because I thought there'd be some sort of resemblance if you looked hard in the face. I kind of told you, I'm like, that's a hard sell. One's blue. Mm-hmm. So
true. Yeah, I know, like the proportions, the pattern, but yeah. And then even like at Muppet Vision 3D, which doesn't have a ton of characters, but they of course had the animatronic Statler and Waldorf from there making fun of the audience, and it's almost like a rite of passage to be able to be made fun of by Statler and Waldorf.
You know, there are never mind. I was going to say there's 3 animatronics in that show, but there's not, because they also have the penguins in the front are animatronics.
And there was Swedish Chef
in the back, technically, as an animatronic.
Who was that? Who else was that?
One more.
I think I've seen videos, but I was only there once when I was like 10.
It's Beans, because he ends up being a big part of that show because he wants to help and no one wants him to help, and he ends up like ruining Mrs. Piggy's number, so he feels bad about it and he leaves and he hides out and they all go looking for him.
And there's an animatronic Bean Bunny?
Yep, they're up in the corner because Sweetums comes out, but that's an actual performer, someone wearing the costume. They come out and they're looking for him, and then they see him up in the balcony, the opposite balcony from Statler and Waldorf.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, and then so sticking with the Muppet world, there's the other one, the obvious one, I think, is Oscar the Grouch.
There you go.
Because I mean, on Sesame Street again, he's got a lot of these have like they're like fixtured in the one spot. Like Statler and Waldorf, they're in the balcony. Oscar's in his trash can, and basically his whole thing is kind of. I mean, you can tell he has a soft spot, but basically his thing is, I hate everything. Go away. Leave me alone. You're all stupid.
Yeah. He's the like you said, they all have their spot. It's almost like a vending machine where it's like, you know what you're going to get. You go to Oscar, you put in your money, and you get a comment. You get a grumble,
Yes.
you get whatever. Same with the Statler and Waldorf. You know exactly what you're going to get. They're not going to have any depth. Like I said, the most depth they have going back to Muppet Christmas Carol
Yeah.
is because they took over the role of a beloved, maybe not beloved, but a classic character in literature. And so they superimpose all of the character of him onto those two. Nothing to do with them. So it's like they're just there. You put in the thing, pull the lever, boom, comment.
Exactly. And like the late 70s, there was a TV special, Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, and Oscar sets out the whole plot because Big Bird is being all excited, like, yeah, Santa's going to come. And Oscar's like, how is that big fat guy going to get down the chimney? And then the whole rest of the movie is Big Bird trying to figure out how Santa Claus can fit down the chimney. So he sets it all in motion by basically being mean to Big Bird.
Good job, Oscar.
Yeah.
See, bullying works.
Exactly.
Don't let the people tell you differently. Bullying gets the job done.
Yeah. And did you know that...
oh, look, angry letters.
Yeah. In the very first season of Sesame Street, Oscar the Grouch was orange, and then he got changed to green the second season.
I think I knew that somewhere in the back of my mind. It's one of those like, oh yeah, I've heard that before, but I wouldn't have been able to regurgitate it like you.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly how many. I mean, obviously they've built a few different Oscars because it's been over 50 years. But Carol Spinney, who the late Carol Spinney, who was Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch, he never wanted to rebuild Oscar unless it was absolutely necessary because he liked the fact that he was more mangy and maybe more matted because that fit the character to be not prim and proper. And so he wanted them to wait to rebuild an Oscar puppet until they absolutely had to.
And now you know. For everyone who you come here for the Jim Henson content, there you go.
Well, I also decided I'm going to put these back to back so that people who are skipping can just skip one chunk.
Except for now, there's no warning like ahead of time. If you want to skip Muppets content, no, too bad. Here you are, 10 minutes later. I don't know if it's been 10 minutes, but we'll get back. Let's get back to our modern sitcoms. I'm going to save. I've got 3 guys left. I'm going to save
I'm done, so you got all yours left.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's go to comedy first, then I'm going to end with the person who the show, like the titular character. So one of our favorite shows, a show that we both love, is New Girl. And we had talked about their sarcastic commenters, and some of the ones that you have where it's like that's all that they do is great. But there are other characters that they are the sarcastic commenter, but because they're such a focal point of the cast, they also have a lot more agency. So I would think if we have a sarcastic commenter in New Girl, it's got to be Schmidt. Yeah. Schmidt is so hilarious. He is dripping with sarcasm, but he's got like his own delivery of it where instead of it being that deadpan, it's like the exact opposite. It's over and above the way that anyone else should deliver one of these lines, you know? Where was it? Like when he's on the phone, a white man? No! What did security do about it? Typical!
Or they're in their new house, and he's got all the crime statistics. Are you the criminals from the statistics?
Are you cooking a frittata in a saucepan? What is this, prison?
If you turn the dial a little bit, you could make Schmidt the gay best friend.
That's
you
true.
Would have to completely cut Cece out because otherwise she would have nothing other than being Jess's friend. But yeah, if you turn Schmidt gay, he's the gay best friend, and he would be more aligned with the Schitt's Creek, whatever his name was.
David.
David, yeah.
Oh, what is it? There's a line that he has that I love his delivery of it. I can't remember the first thing that he says, but he ends it with "you oaf" or something like that, where it's just like instead of any sort of inflection of anger in it, it's just flat "you oaf."
I remember that. I don't know the beginning part. I know he's talking to Nick.
He's talking to Nick, and it has something to do with like a spatula that he's like looking for something in the kitchen or something like that, or like he's saying it's called a spatula or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean Nick and Schmidt are the clear opposites attract odd couple roommates.
because Nick has a naivety, even though he's like he has common sense. There's like something like he believes things that no one else believes, and he believes
Oh
them
yeah,
so easily.
it's it's up to the most. What is an ut? Utmost is just not a word.
I love how emotional these guys. Their emotions are so funny. Nick, Winston, and Schmidt, all three of
Mhm.
them, like the way that they play the emotions is great. And so it's great that we had Coach who ended up working with those three, because Coach, he had some emotions, but he was very unemotional compared to those three.
Mhm.
And you needed someone that was a little bit
Yeah.
more of a baseline. And ironically enough, Cece, in our traditional gender roles where we look at women as being more emotional than men, Cece is also the baseline of emotionality. Like
Yes.
everyone, Jess and those three guys, all huge emotions. Cece and Coach are the freaking only normal ones, and even they're a little
Yeah.
weird.
Cece, I think, is the toughest of all the characters on the show.
Very much so.
Yeah, to the point where when Cece has an emotional moment, it means more because it's not the norm for her.
Yes. And it is actually something that made me come around to like Cece even more, because we needed people that had a strong baseline, because it can't be all of as funny as it is to see every single person flying by the seat of their emotional pants. We
Mm-hmm.
need people like Cece who are smart and down to earth and can bring people back, but can still hold her own against these ridiculous, crazy people.
Oh, absolutely.
So speaking of people that are down to earth and are commenters as well, we're sticking with these sitcoms that we love, and we're going to Parks and Rec. And
Mm-hmm.
Parks and Rec is another one. Plenty of sarcastic people. And pre-show, you actually made a note about someone that you felt was the sarcastic commenter, but I feel like it is April. April is the sarcastic one of everyone.
Yeah, well, I mentioned Ron, but Ron's not sarcastic. Ron makes comments that other people would find sarcastic, but Ron is just literally how he thinks. Whereas April actually has the sarcasm.
Yeah, April's a bit more deadpan, like kind of like this gothic sort of
Mm-hmm.
style in the first couple seasons. She gets a little bit more into things later on, but
Mm-hmm.
in like the second season, when you really don't see too much emotion out of her,
Yeah.
she has that wonderful line where Talking Head, where she says, "My mom's Puerto Rican. That's why I'm so lively and colorful."
Yeah.
And one of the best sarcastic lines that she has in the whole show.
Yeah. April worked after the first, after like say season 2 or 3, but when she pairs up more with Andy, because that kind of softens her up. Because before then she's a little bit more unlikable, like she just is like, I hate being here. Whereas once you realize deep down she loves everybody and in the cast, but she still is going to be herself, that's when you can enjoy her deadpan annoying humor.
I don't care about that prize, but I'm going to win because I want his happiness to go away.
Or you don't care about anything. Well, I like Andy and Champion, and I like sleeping, so that's 3 things.
What was the one that she said with Ron where it's like, I think he had a bee sting or something like that? Or no, he had a hernia. And she's like, what is it, like a virus or something? She's like, do you have syphilis? No, I have a hernia. Well, you can have 2 things.
I love that.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
April is a great foil and is wonderful addition to pair her and Andy up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because she's a dog person. And what is Andy if not a giant dog?
Yeah.
Human
And
dog.
it's spot on when people say that Andy's a dog and she's a cat.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
Although, as we learned from the episode where they're assigning dog breeds to people, so is Donna. She is also a cat.
True. But they're different types of cats.
All right, we're going to bring it home with a titular character from a show that you've watched, I know, 1 episode of, but probably not too much more than that. And
Okay.
is an animated show as well. I'll be shocked if you can guess it. Can you guess which animated show I'm referencing?
Archer?
It is Archer. And H. John Benjamin is just like he's one of those actors, like we talked about David Spade, of like, if you get this actor in a role, make him sarcastic because he
Mhm.
drives that home. He is so good
Yeah.
at sarcasm and the delivery of these lines. And so, like stuff like, if I just quit cold turkey, I'm pretty sure the cumulative hangover would kill me. One of
Yeah.
his coworkers, Cheryl, she's like worried about getting shot in this mission, but she has this bulletproof vest. And so he's trying to assure that she has this bulletproof vest. She still gets shot in the arm, and he goes, but it is, just a vest.
Yeah. I love how he doesn't do any voices like Archer and Bob Belcher. They're just his voice.
Yes. Because his voice is so good.
Mhm.
It's up there. Like, I hesitate to say, oh, he's Morgan Freeman level, but in terms of comedy, it is one of the top voice actors in
But,
yeah.
but because it's just his voice, it's almost impossible to do an impression of his voice.
Yeah, because it's nasally. You kind of have to like close your nose, but then you drop the octave like an octave and a half. It's a nasal, low register voice.
It's like a couple octave. It's a couple notches up, not quite as low as Ron Swanson, but it's a little bit higher than him. But it's like somewhere in that range.
Yeah, definitely not a Robert Barone.
No, which it took me a long time to realize that wasn't his real voice, and he was putting that on for the show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a degree of it. He does have a lower register voice. But
when he,
but
when he goes, everybody loves Raymond. He's exaggerating that.
Yes, he's tapping into his inner Eeyore.
Yeah.
The other thing with H. John Benjamin, I don't know if you know this, but when they were originally casting for Rocket Raccoon, he was one of the finalists that they're looking at. And when it went to Bradley Cooper, I was so mad because I'm like, H. John Benjamin is perfect for this cracking raccoon. Now, Bradley Cooper ends up blowing it out of the water and does a fantastic job. But I was so mad because I'm like, H. John Benjamin is the guy. You've got to cast him for this.
But would he have been able to pull off some of the more serious moments of Rocket?
See, now I'm not so sure because Bradley Cooper, like you're suggesting, does really handle the emotional weight of the character. Mm-hmm. Even in that first movie, when he's like mad and he's like drunk in the bar and he's yelling, is like, they're like, "Oh, Rocket, we're on your side. You're on my side. You called me vermin," and like just you can hear the pain in his voice at like just that everyone is pointing fingers at him being this raccoon and not, and like the lack of clarity he has in his identity. And that's only like 2 lines, but Bradley Cooper shows why he's an A-list actor with just those few lines.
True. That is true. But to your point also, I can totally picture H. John Benjamin being Rocket Raccoon. I think it's Guardians 2 when he's like, "All right, now we're all standing. Great. Is that a great moment?"
That was the first one, but yes, he has Rocket has some great lines. He's so funny.
I love how we ended up by accident including Rocket Raccoon on our list, which I think he definitely fits as a sarcastic commenter too.
100%. I mean, if we're going to MCU, it's like Tony Stark. Like every character is a sarcastic commenter, but the standard set by Tony right away in Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, not everybody. I mean, Steve Rogers is not sarcastic in any way.
You're right. They all just have these quotes. Like Ant-Man, very much that way. Spider-Man, very much that way. Even like the biggest critique happens when Age of Ultron comes out, and Ultron ends up being that way. And people are like, no, Ultron's this menacing villain, which he is. But I do understand in this universe of him being designed by Tony, like this parent-son relationship, he's going to have some of Tony's personality. And I can get why they went the way they did. But
yeah.
I also understand the complaints. So then they pivoted and they're like, let's get Black Panther. And he will not quip once. Not even once.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's all that I've got. And obviously, anyone, if you're listening, you're like, why didn't you include this character? Listen, we could do this all day.
Oh, yeah.
Like Steve Rogers. We could do this all day.
Yeah, with these character types, whenever we do them, we know we're going to be missing some because we'd have to look into every single show that's ever existed. I mean, we're going to miss them.
Yeah, I can look at every single show I watch. Futurama, Bender's in there. What other shows do we watch? Stranger Things, Dusty, probably.
Dusty, yeah. Dustin probably would be. Sometimes Steve.
Sometimes
Or
Hooper.
like, yeah.
You got
Um,
three in
on
there.
yeah. On Lost, you got Frank Lapidus.
And Hurley.
True Hurley, but Hurley is a little too genuine.
He's too nice. Sawyer. Let's say Sawyer.
Oh yeah. Sawyer works too.
And
Or
Lapidus
Miles.
came on when Sawyer had a little bit more depth to his character.
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory. Honestly, it's probably Penny.
Or Stewart. But yeah, Penny too.
Cause especially early on in the seasons, because Penny is that unicorn that, you know, all four of those guys are similar, so we need someone on the outside mocking those four.
Yep. Young Sheldon as Mima.
Yep. So Everybody Loves Raymond, we already mentioned. Is that Frank?
Close. Frank, oh yeah, Frank or sometimes Robert, depending on the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably would be Frank.
Do you have one for Full House?
I think the closest might be Danny Tanner when he's directed at Kimmy Gibbler. Otherwise, not really.
Yeah, that seems a little bit too sincere of a show, I would say.
But everyone in that show is so mean to Kimmy.
Yeah. Even Star Treks would have like their sarcastic person, you know, like I grew up on Star Trek Voyager and Tom Paris was the sarcastic guy on there. But I mean, that's also one of those, it's too sincere of a show to really have a sarcastic commenter who's sarcastic all the time.
Yeah.
But you can pull people out of any of these.
Yeah. And then in real life, from the group that we used to hang out with when we all lived close, I think it would be Dan Risdall.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are all of us were plenty sarcastic, but Dan would definitely be the comment.
Yeah, he'd be the quickest about it.
And I played into a certain vibe in that group of like a little bit extra, you know?
Yeah.
I was the Schmidt level of sarcastic with that, where I'm a little off-putting because of my energy level, but I'm fun.
Yeah. So Dan was the Chandler, you were the Schmidt, I was the Abed.
And that was another one we didn't bring up is Community, which Abed is it's a different kind of sarcasm that Abed have. Because Jeff really is the sarcastic one. Now I'm saying this out loud, verbally processing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. None of the rest of them are really sarcastic on that show. Yeah. Maybe occasionally Chang when Chang's not being insane.
What is the line that he says when like he took Shirley's kids and wants to like adopt them and like acting like their dad and like kidnap them, and he says something like I'm crazy, Jeff, didn't you get the memo or something like that?
Or in the last season when they're catching up Frankie on what's been happening in the earlier seasons, it's like Chang was our teacher. What? Yeah, and frankly I haven't been used well since.
It's pretty great. Man, it's not like I want to go through like all these shows like what did I used to watch and like come up with all these different ones.
Yep. It's a universal character type for sure.
It is. But we're not going to talk about it anymore. We had at least 20 on our list.
Oh, for sure. Plus that rapid fire at the end added like another 8 or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into trivia because it's been fun. And hey, if you listened to our last episode, that was our 200th episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as Paul hated it. And we did some Christmas trivia. And so we're still in that Christmas season. I hope you're enjoying it and spending time with family and that you are not the sarcastic commenter with all the present opening. You know, you can enjoy things. You don't have to be Oscar the Grouch. It's fine. But so in that last episode before the Christmas one, we looked at the episode of Friends, the one where Ross got high, that Thanksgiving episode, the wonderful one that we took a little bit of time on. And in that episode, early on, we see in the guy's apartment that Joey and Ross are playing PlayStation. And I asked, hey, what video game are they playing on PlayStation? They don't say it in the show, but for those out there with a keen eye and a good video game knowledge, you can tell that they are playing Twisted Metal 2 on their PlayStation.
All right. And for this week's trivia, One of the characters we talked about was Al Borland, played by Richard Karn. He was a while back a guest on the Pod Meets World podcast where he was telling his story, and he was not the original casting choice for Al. There was another actor, and I think they were only going to use Richard Karn to fill in for the first episode or two while that other actor was busy, and they were going to just swap him out because in the 90s they did that pretty often. Like, I don't know, no one's going to notice. And they ended up liking him so much that he just stole the role from this other actor. So who was originally going to be Al Borland in Home Improvement?
Is it someone I would know?
Oh, absolutely. You know this person for sure.
Like in real life? Was it Dan Risdall?
Absolutely. No.
Yes!
As far as I know, you've never met this actor, but we have mentioned this actor on the podcast, and I know you're a fan of him.
Okay. I have a guess, but I'm not certain. So, well, we'll see next week who that person is. And the next time we have this podcast, it should be after New Year's. And we're going to talk about what are some of the best TV shows from 2025. So if you missed them, or if you're like, hey, Stranger Things just wrapped up, I'm so excited to watch it, we'll probably talk about it. And we'll probably talk about things all the way back in January, like the Squid Game season 2. So,
and
lots
Squid
of
Game
good stuff
3.
this year.
Yep.
And also shows not on Netflix. So until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
And we're reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.